Hey, good morning, Dan. Boy, it's been a long time since I've made a video. I know we've fallen out of that habit of making videos, cataloging every aspect of our lives, but that doesn't mean we can't get back into it. But I had a really cool experience over the weekend I wanted to tell you about. Um, as you know, we're swimming open water Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday at Lacane and Goodview. Um, and so this, of course, and we get this every year, as September hits, as the air gets cool, sorry about the nose, as the air gets cooler, and the water is still warm, or the ground, we get a lot of ground fog. I guess that's what fog is, right? Otherwise, it would just be a cloud. Anyway, get a lot of fog. So we went out Saturday morning, and I wanted to get a little bit extra swim in. So our typical route is tree shelter to tree, around the far shore, past the island to the condos, back past the island, back to the shelter. So I wanted to do a little bit of extra, so I got there instead of we were swimming at 7, so I got there at 6:30. I got a smaller lap in, so the tree to the island and back to the shelter. And then we all took off for the second lap together. This was at about 7. So this is what it looked like when I got there at 6:30. And then, so then we started swimming right at 7. We're all together, and we head off to the tree, and yeah, it was a little foggy. You couldn't quite see where the tree was. It was actually definitely foggy. You couldn't quite see where the tree was. But it's funny because when I had gotten back to the shelter after my first lap, I thought, oh man, the fog's lifting a little bit. That was really disappointing. I wanted it to get thicker, right? So anyway, so we take off to the tree. We were somewhat offline, but it wasn't bad. We get to the tree, we start following the far shore, and it starts getting thick, a little thicker, but of course we're only, 20 or 30 yards from the shore, so you can see faintly the shore, because that's how thick the fog was. So Lucas and I are in the lead. We get to the island. Lucas ends up turning and heading back to the shelter because he had to go. So I end up heading to the condos. I'm a little off course, but for the most part, I found them, and got to the condos fine. And then on my way back from the, sorry, dogs are fighting. On my way back from the condos to the island, So I knew I had this habit of pulling to the right from my swim from the tree up to the island. To the left. So when I got to the condos and I started heading back to the island, the fog is really thick now. And you can't see more than maybe 20 yards. So I thought what I would do is I would breathe twice to the right, once to the left. And that way I would adjust my course slightly. Because if you breathe right, you pull right. Breathe left, you pull left. So I start swimming, and I know it's about, an 8-minute swim from the condos to the island, about 500 yards. So it seemed like 8 minutes had gone by, and I pop up, and I'm looking, I can't see anything. Of course, I can't hear anything. There was no wind, so there was no ripples on the water to tell you direction at all. Everything was just flat and foggy. And I look around. I think I see like a tree line, and then it disappears. So clearly it was just my mind finding shapes in the fog. So I spin around a full 360, and then it's like, oh shit. Which direction did I come from? Which direction was I going? Okay. I think it's this, I'm pretty sure it's this way. So I get swimming again. I'm swimming. 5 minutes goes by. I'm right back at the condos, exactly where I landed the first time. So I had obviously got completely turned around. So it's like, okay, I'm at the condos. The island is that way. Go. So I started swimming again. This time, the first thing I see is a big house with a dock and a jet ski. And now I'm trying to think, okay, now where is that house? I remember this house. Is it on the left or the right? Is it on the north or the south side of the lake? Is it on the Highway 61 side or on the river side? Okay, I think it's on the Highway 61 side. So I'm pretty sure that was right. So I follow the shore around, keeping the shore on my left, and I come out to this point, and now at that point I'm not worried about myself. I mean, it was about 45 degrees outside. The water was about 69, so it was fine. But what I'm worried about is, are the guys going to think I'm dead or that I'm lost and they're going to come look for me? So I get to that point, that little point coming off of the shore, and I yell, "Hello!" And I'm looking towards the shelter, and I hear something to my right, somebody yelling. I turn and, hey, there's Pepe and Bob. And they're on the island. And so that's about 100 yards from where I am. So I could just barely make it out. So I swim over there. Maybe it's 50 yards. It's not very far. So I swim over there, and it's like, well, where's Glenn? They were like, we don't know. Pepe's super worried because, Pepe's like a mama bird. Nobody knows where Glenn. They said they had gone to the condos. Bob and Pepe had made it back, but there was no sign of Glenn. So we yell. Of course, yelling could do no good because his head's in the water. And I told Pepe, I said, I bet Glenn's having the time of his life right now. So I said, why don't we do this? Why don't, Pepe, you go this way. I'll go straight. I'll go in the middle towards the condos. Bob, you go this way. Only go about 100 yards or as far as you can go just before you lose sight of the island. And let's see if we can spot him. So we end up swimming out. Eventually, Bob finds him. Bob's back at the island now. Glenn shows up at the island. Glenn thought he was on the other side of the lake completely. Somehow he had gotten from one side all the way to the other of that little bay. So we all end up, I yell for Pepe. We all end up back at the island, and then we swim for the shelter. And even that was hard. It was just easy to get lost in there. So we show back up at shore, and first thing Lisa says is, do you know it's 5 after 8? And it's like, no. And we started at 7. We should have been back at 7:30, 7:35. So we're about 30 minutes longer than we expected. So this is what it looked like when we got back. As you can see, you can't see anything. I mean, it's just this white wall of mist. Again, pretty awesome. We all had a great time, and we all made it back alive. So Nathan actually was out swimming as well. He got lost too. And here is, he has a Garmin. So here's his route. I thought you would appreciate this. So anyway, that's my story. That was my fun weekend. Glenn and I are hoping for another foggy weekend because next week we start swimming at the high school with regular master, so we'll be back inside. Anyway, it was a good time. I would highly recommend getting lost in the fog on the water, but only in a lake as big as LeCaine. Because really, no matter what direction you go, you could swim for 10 minutes and you're gonna find a shore, if not sooner. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I would not have wanted that on Lake Superior. That might have been a bit on the frightening side. But what do? You just relax, you keep swimming, wait until you see something. And then if all else fails, we get out, walk and use somebody's phone or follow the shore around in our Speedo. Awkward, but functional. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Good luck with getting all your plans together for your Wales trip. And hopefully your dad does not feel like he's on a baton death march for those 3 weeks. I'm anxious to hear how he does. So hope you guys are well. I'm going to go get ready for my day. I have to work the bar. Then I have Spanish class. We are reading a story, El Eclipse, which is about this. I think I already told you about it. Anyway, it's all in Espanol, of course. Lots of subjunctive tense, lots of past tense, lots of participles. Anyway, it's a hoot. I'll talk to you later.